Hey everyone, welcome to this full moon Sidereal astrology forecast for the full moon on Tuesday, December 29th, 2020. All right, so we have a full moon in Gemini, the twins. If you're expecting me to say Cancer just then, be sure to check out that link down below for more information. We are using the visible sky called True Sidereal Astrology, which does change the signs from mainstream astrology. All right, so we come up to the halfway point of the lunar cycle. Full moons are a good time of doing a status check and maybe making some shifts and changes from whatever comes to our awareness. It's really in the context of what started 2 weeks ago during the solar eclipse in Ophiuchus. And so it's been a very healing month, and it's been really good for turning inward and doing both spiritual healing, but also physical healing as well. So now the question is how can we balance that out by really using our minds? Gemini is all about gaining knowledge and information, whether it's through reading, learning, and very much in the communication realms, being willing to learn from others and share and exchange ideas, right? So it's all about balancing this more abstract stuff like healing, like where we have Sagittarius, more of the higher perspectives on life that are very strong at the moment, and yes, apply them practically. How can we take some of these deeper things or higher things and really see how we can put them into our lives so that they can be tangible, they can be applied, and all in all, just be willing to learn, curious, and share and exchange with others can really help facilitate this process. So it is not a major full moon with the aspects. We do have a square up to Chiron. So again, just a reminder for some good healing energy available and to still challenge ourselves to do that. And there's also a sextile up to Uranus. So good to have some new and different experiences, maybe think outside the box a little bit and create some change and some flexibility with this energy can be fantastic. All right, so let's go and take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. All right, so here's the chart for this full moon. Again, we are using the visible sky, so the signs are different. If you are new to this channel, definitely check out the link down below. In mainstream astrology, they do say that the full moon's in Cancer, but if you do look up at the visible sky, you will see it in the constellation of the twins of Gemini. And the exact time of the full moon will be on Tuesday, December 29th at 21:33 Eastern Time of the Americas. So for all intents and purposes, it will be both Tuesday and Wednesday in which we'll be feeling this energy. All right, so let's go and start first with what a full moon is. It is the halfway point of the lunar month. And in this case, a very important one since it is an eclipse month. We did have that solar eclipse in Ophiuchus 2 weeks ago. And so it's been a really good time of doing things like shadow work, deep diving, deep healing, seeing what comes to the surface that we can work with or accept about ourselves or about life. And also physical healing as well for those of you that have been implementing that. And since this time, we have had the Sun and Mercury go into Sagittarius, which has really broadened things. You know, this time of the year is great for seeing the higher perspective on life, like the meaning of life, its higher view, philosophy, spirituality, what's our perspective. It's a great time to see what is our perspective on life and maybe share this perspective with others. But what helps ground all of this deeper energy and abstract energy is, of course, Gemini. So Gemini is all about really getting into actual concrete knowledge, concrete information, and really practical information. Because although it is great to dive deep, do all this abstract stuff, of course, to help balance that out, the real question is what's the point of all that if we can't apply it practically and tangibly? So Gemini, the twins, is all about creating synergy in our life, to be willing to learn, to be curious. It's a great time of doing things like picking up that book and doing some practical learning, maybe developing some practical skills. And in the social sense, which Gemini can be quite social, it's also a great time of communication, particularly in the context of seeing eye to eye with others. So connecting with our peers, our friends, our neighbors, our siblings, so that we can, share and exchange, be open-minded, be not only open to sharing information, which is mostly Sagittarius, but also, receiving it as well and being curious and interested. So a great time to see, how is this side of ourself now in Gemini? Are we interested? Are we willing to learn? Are we applying things practically in our life? Do we have this flexible nature of being light on our toes, willing to try new and different things? This is why Gemini can be also called the jack of all trades, right? It's a very flexible, very adaptive energy. It's a very mental energy, so that we can balance out some of this energy. So that's what we want to do with the full moon, is do the status check. How is that side of ourselves going? How can we apply it in the context of whatever new has started these past 2 weeks? And how can we maybe make some shifts and changes now so that we can implement more of this balanced energy, the abstract and the practical, right? The willing to share, but also the willing to learn and communicate, right? This type of energy now moving forward for the remainder of the lunar cycle, so for the next 2 weeks. All right, so like I said, not a major full moon with the aspects. We do have what I would consider minor ones, starting first with the opposition to Mercury. Mercury is the natural ruler of Gemini, and him being in Sagittarius really adds to that more abstract stuff. So I think it's really about applying this practical energy into the abstract, into philosophy, into spirituality, into the meaning of life, and also to be adventurous. These are mutable signs. And so it is very much about, with Sag, to be open to new and different experiences. And how can we do that? Be open-minded, free-spirited, adventurous, but then also, again, see how we can be willing to learn in the process, gain new information, and as new information comes in, be adaptive, be flexible, try different things. Again, being willing to learn and communicate with others can be a great way of grounding out that Mercury in an opposition. Now, there is a square up to Chiron, so this also just speaks to the Ophiuchus healing energy we've had this month. Chiron can be said to be the modern ruler of Ophiuchus. So it is a great time of, particularly with the square, challenging ourselves to do some of that healing. And maybe to go with the flow a little bit. With Chiron and Pisces, it's been great these past few years to really do the healing with more of things like our unconscious, psychological work, spiritual work. Maybe still doing things that are inward, right? And more important to us on a soul or spiritual level, right? So great time of doing this kind of healing, but the square is that this is very different from Gemini, right? Gemini is about getting out into the marketplace. It's social or learning and using our mind and thinking about things, right? So the mind and the unconscious, that's a square. The spiritual life and the practical life, that's a square and a challenge. So anything we can do to set intentions, to be both inward, but also willing to learn, to go with the flow, and also be practical in the process, I think is a great way of challenging ourselves with this square. And again, particularly in the context of still doing some things that involve healing, either spiritually or physically, with Chiron and the eclipse that we had 2 weeks ago. Now, there is a sextile up to Uranus. This is very minor with the sextiles, but it is a nice opening. And the opening is for change, right? Maybe some new and different experiences. And Uranus does synergize very well with Gemini, both being air elements. And so, yeah, great for this. Being willing to think outside the box, being willing to have new and different experiences, to get outside of our comfort zone a little bit. It could be easier to do this at this time. And with Uranus and Aries, it's really about individual self-expression, to experiment with our identity, maybe with confidence, assertiveness, a little more active energy, definitely in supportive sextile to this full moon. All right, everyone, so that's the full moon in a nutshell, quite straightforward with all this abstract energy of healing and perception. With Ophiuchus and Sagittarius, Gemini grounds all this. It balances it all out. And it does so really by using the left side of the brain, which is the side that wants to apply things practically, wants to understand things tangibly, wants to gain knowledge and information, which makes it a great time of sharing and exchanging with others when it comes to communications and the social life, or just simply picking up that book or doing some writing, right? Could also be a great way of doing this. With the mutable energy, more flexibility, more adaptability, more curiousness can be great with this. The square to Chiron, healing energy, same with the eclipse. Great to challenge ourselves with that and have some new and different experiences to get outside of our comfort zone. is at least supportive or available with the sextile to Uranus. All right, so everyone have a fantastic full moon. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click that like button if you haven't yet. If you're not yet signed up for MTZ Insiders, definitely check out the link down below for that. It's a newsletter where you do get updated on videos like this one. But again, have a great one, and I'll see you all next time for the next astrology update. Take care.